going on, everybody? My name's Aden. I'm going to be starting a series where we start doing NBA draft redrafts, and this time we'll be doing the 2015 NBA draft. Get ready. You might disagree with some things, I don't know. I might not be 100% certain on some stuff, so feel free to comment, see what you think. Starting with the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Karl-Anthony Towns with their original pick. He's been a great player, and no real complaints, just I don't think he goes first in a redraft. I mean, he's definitely top 3, non-negotiable. But with the first overall pick, I have the Timberwolves taking Devin Booker. You know, Devin Booker's just a stud. He's averaging 24 points a game, right now 23 points a game. He has multiple All-NBA selections, been to the finals, should have won, but Chris Paul sucks, so yeah. I mean, I think he's absolutely going first. I think he's overall the most skilled and best player in this draft class, and that's why I have him going number 1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. With the second overall pick, the original pick was to the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell. He's been a fine player. He's not exactly second overall caliber. I mean, we'll get into him later, but he's been a fine player overall. Who I have going second was the original first overall pick, is now Karl-Anthony Towns. Just got traded to the Knicks. He's starting to give his groove a little bit, probably one of the best shooting big men in the NBA. Cat's averaging 26.5 points a game right now. He was a big part of the reason why the Timberwolves went to the Western Conference Finals last year. Didn't go great for them against the Mavericks, but they were a great defensive team. He was a key leader on that team. I have him going second overall to the Lakers. With the third overall pick, the original pick was to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the original pick was Jahlil Okafor from Duke. He was an absolute stud at Duke. Just his game didn't reflect the NBA and how it is right now. Like, he was more of just like a post-up, back to the basket guy, bully you down low. Was actually the Rookie of the Year. Isn't in the NBA anymore. Isn't on my list. So I have the 76ers now taking Kristaps Porzingis. A lot of Knicks fans were very upset on draft night. Who is this guy? You know, the memes, everything. But he has been an absolute unicorn. He's a stud. There's really no real flaws in his game other than the fact that he's just injury prone, which isn't really even his fault. It just happens in the game of basketball. So I have him going third overall to the 76ers. Right now, he hasn't played yet this year, but he was a big contributor on the Celtics championship team last year. Played a few games in the finals. And I feel like he's just the last infinity stone on the Celtics. Like, not many teams are going to beat them when he's healthy. And I have him going third overall to the 76ers. With the fourth overall pick, the original pick was Kristaps Porzingis from the Knicks. But since he's off the board, we got to go with somebody else. And I'm going to go with the number 2 pick in the draft, D'Angelo Russell. He's originally drafted by the Lakers, second overall pick, like I just said. But he was quickly traded after 2 years, or a year and a half, to the Nets, where he was an all-star, and then quickly shipped to the Golden State Warriors for a year, and then quickly shipped to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he's been a big contributor, but he's mostly he's just a shooter right now on the Lakers. He's not, he's best with ball in the hand, but he's also well working with pick and rolls, just coming off the screen and shooting. So, I mean, he's a good player. I have him going fourth overall to the Knicks. With the fifth overall pick, the Orlando Magic selected Mario Hezonja, but I am not taking him again in this redraft. I'm going to go with the big man, Pacers, Miles Turner, going fifth overall. He can spread the floor. He doesn't just pack the paint. He's a 17 point per game player, 7 rebounds, 45% shooter. Like, he's a good player all around. He's not the most skilled big man in the league. I'm not going to lie to you and say that he is. But he's a really good contributor on this good Pacers team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So I have him going number 5 to the Orlando Magic. With the 6th overall pick, the original pick was Willie Cauley-Stein out of Kentucky. And this is when Kentucky was just a stacked team, had a bunch of studs, went to the national championship the year before. But I have Terry Rozier getting drafted here. And this is where you can kind of go I don't know. There's a lot of toss-up players, but with how they were originally drafted, I don't agree with how they were originally drafted. I mean, I wouldn't have known better. Willie Cauley-Stein was a stud at Kentucky, but I have Terry Rozier, was with the Celtics, kind of figured out his role there, And then he was shipped to the Hornets, where he became a 20-point player, just a stud. Really their only key player on their team. Wasn't a very good team. Now Terry Rozier is with the Heat. He's getting a little older, a little more injury prone, but he's still a key contributor on this Heat team that is trying to make the playoffs this year, go back to the NBA Finals, and make a run for the championship. Number 7, the Denver Nuggets selected Emmanuel Mudiay. Very controversial pick at the time. Went out of country, played, made money, and then was picked with the 7th pick by the Nuggets. But I'm not taking him here. I have a huge riser in this year's NBA draft, a breakout this year, which is weird because it's 9 years later after he was drafted. I have Norman Powell, averaging 24 points a game. He is going crazy on this not super loaded Clippers team that's mainly just led by Harden, but Norman Powell has kind of taken the scoring role, and been probably the best player on this Clippers team by far so far this season. I have him going number 7 to the Denver Nuggets. With the 8th overall pick, the Detroit Pistons originally selected Stanley Johnson. I am not making that mistake again. I'm going Kelly Oubre from Kansas. He's been an all-around good player in the league. He's he's had a couple down years. When he was with the Warriors, he was more on the spotlight. He didn't really shoot the ball well. He didn't look great overall. So he got shipped out, went to Charlotte for a few years, got his act together, and now he's been a big contributor on the 76ers team that's struggling beginning of the year, but he's averaging 15 points a game, 5 rebounds, not shooting the ball extremely well, but I have him here ahead of some players that are behind him, just because I believe he's a better overall player, more skilled, more athletic. So I have him going 8th overall to the Detroit Pistons. Number 9. Frank Kaminsky was selected by the Charlotte Hornets. There's a great big man out of Wisconsin, but I don't have them taking him again. He's been a guy that's been around the league for a while now. He's not really making much of an impact anymore. I have Bobby Portis shooting up the ranks here. He's been a big key contributor on the Bucks team that won the championship. He's just been an all-around really good role player. In this part of the draft, you're not going to find really good NBA stars, but you're going to find really good role players, and I believe that's where you find Bobby Portis, 9th overall, Charlotte Hornets. Number 10, the original selection was Justice Winslow. Really he's kind of struggled his whole NBA career, hasn't really made much of an impact on any team that he's been on. I have 6th Man of the Year 2020, Montrezl Harrell. Been out of the league now for about a couple years, hasn't really made much of an impact, but the fact that he was 6th Man of the Year, put a key contributor on Suns teams, he was a skilled player while he was in the league. I have him going 10th overall to the Miami Heat. Number 11, the original selection was Miles Turner, but he's already been taken off the board, so I'm going to go with another big man from Wyoming, Larry Nance Jr. He's been a really good role player for a lot, like the Lakers. He was with the Pelicans for a while. Out of college, he was just a big name because, Nance Jr., big NBA family. Dad played in the NBA. So, he hasn't been a star or anything like that, but he's been a really good role player, big man, lob threat, pick and roll guy. I have him going 11th overall to the Indiana Pacers. Number 12, the original selection to the Utah Jazz was Trey Lyles. Been a solid guy, nothing wrong with him, just not taking him again. I have Kevon Looney, currently with the Warriors. I have him going in Trey Lyles' spot to the Jazz. Kevon Looney's been a solid big dude. Nothing crazy, but he has a big name now that he's with the Warriors. He was really their only big man a couple years ago when the Warriors were in the playoffs, the year that the Lakers went to the Western Conference Finals, got blown out. He was a really big contributor, or he was wanted to be a really good contributor in that playoff for the Warriors, but injuries have kind of slowed his career down a little bit. In high school, he was really big coming out. I have him going 11th overall to the Utah Jazz. 13th overall, the original selection was Devin Booker, who I had going number 1 in this 2015 redraft. I have the last 3 guys are a big toss-up. You can throw them in really any order, but I feel like there's one that's maybe above the other 3. And I have Cameron Payne getting selected here. He got really famous originally because he was in the dance videos with OKC when he was with Russell Westbrook. That's probably where you know him from, what's funny, but he's actually a solid player. He's nothing crazy, but he's a really good role player, plays his role well, and he can come off the bench, get you 10 points a game. I have him going 13th overall to the Phoenix Suns. Number 14, Oklahoma City Thunder. The man I just took was the original pick, Cameron Payne. I'm going to go Trey Lyles here. Again, nothing crazy with this dude. He's just been a solid role player, come off the bench, do his role, play a little defense, get you a few points. I'm going to take him here at 14, OKC. With the 15th pick, the original pick was the Atlanta Hawks taking Kelly Oubre, already taken him. So I'm going to go Pat Connaughton from Notre Dame. He's been a solid, if you ever just see a white dude on the Bucks, redhead, you see him playing and you're like, who's that? He's going to go under the radar because he does a lot of things well, but he's not a crazy player. He's not going to wow you with his shooting ability, but he's a solid role player on a Bucks team that really needs him right now to just play his role well and just do what he needs to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I might be doing the 2016 NBA draft, so I'll see you guys there.